and absolutely you do not need HCPC registration to apply for these roles. Today I'm going to be talking about other lab roles that you could apply for if you're a fresh new graduate and you don't have sufficient experience to become a band 5. So what I mean is, if you have a biomedical science degree but you've not completed your registration portfolio, so you're not HCPC registered, or you do not have sufficient experience to be able to pass a band 5 interview and get a band 5 role, these are some lab based role that you could apply for that could increase your experience and be some form of progression to your biomedical scientist career. The job market is so saturated at the moment. We have so many people who are HCPC registered, who have got a biomedical science degree, even a master's in biomedical science. Sometimes you need to have like sufficient experience in the laboratory to be able to pass and actually land yourself a band 5 role. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep applying for band 5s. But I'll just be talking about some few other job roles that you could apply for that would help you gain your lab experience, help you to understand how the lab system works in NHS. And these things are good points that could help you in your interview and help you to stand out when you go for band 5 jobs. So it's literally just an advice that, yes, as much as you're going to be trying to apply for the band 5 jobs, there are also some other roles that you could be applying for. If no band 5 job has come through yet, you could start with these roles that we're going to be talking about. And also for people who have graduated from a biomedical science degree but do not have a registration portfolio just yet and have not done your portfolio, these jobs could also help you in getting your portfolio and help you to be able to finally get your registration, which could help you to become a band 5 or band 6 biomedical scientist. So let's just get into the role. So there's a role called medical laboratory assistant. It's an MLA role. Basically, like the name implies, you're just going to be assisting biomedical scientists and associate practitioner to deliver lab services. So you're like a support staff. It's also some hospitals also call this role biomedical support workers. These roles, sometimes they don't even need you to specifically have a biomedical science degree. Any science degree might be sufficient. You definitely do not need a HCPC registration to be able to apply, and most times without any job experience you can be able to apply and land yourself this job. And this job starts from band 2 and band 3 levels. We also have some med lab assistant and specimen reception. So specimen reception is where all the specimens come into the lab and they are booked in there and then sent to the various laboratories where they are needed. So when they are booked in the specimen reception, sometimes they could get rejected or different things. So there's a group of people who work in the specimen reception, and I think specimen reception is a very good place for you to start your biomedical science career. If you apply for specimen reception MLA roles, it's going to be like the interviews are very quite easy. These interviews do not have any form of scientific aspect. It's just more like scenario questions, how you work well as a team. So it's going to be a pretty much easy interview for you to pass, and that way you've set your foot into the NHS system, which in turn you can be able to progress and move forward. We also have some med lab assistants that are inside the lab. So within the lab you could be in a hematology, biochemistry, histopathology, microbiology. We also have med lab assistants in the lab. They help with household duties like changing of the bio waste, changing of the bio bean bags, cleaning of the centrifuge, more like some scientific form of cleaning. They also do things like filing samples and making sure samples are stored, also disposing samples after a certain period of time. So basically they come together to assist biomedical scientists to help in the smooth going of the lab. And to be honest, this role is very important because there's so many things that they do. The lab sometimes might not be able to function without the med lab assistants within the lab, and med lab assistants in the lab could be either band 2s or band 3s. So we have band 2 roles and we have band 3 roles, but they are both med lab assistants. Med lab assistants also in some labs are responsible for checking the temperature, are also responsible for some QCs depending on the department and depending on the lab. And absolutely, you do not need HCPC registration to apply for these roles. And in some hospitals or laboratories that have like good training system, as a band 3 you could be supported to complete your portfolio and work towards your registration and become eventually a biomedical scientist. And also with this experience, you're literally building your CV, you're building your experience, and you find out that you actually learn a lot, because most times what you've learned in school is usually not sufficient. You need to see some things practically. So when you've learned these, when you've seen how things happen in the lab and what the workflow is like in the lab, when you finally go for your biomedical scientist interview, you can be able to smash them because you've learned a lot and you now have hands-on experience. Another role that you can look forward to is Associate Practitioner. This is a band 4 level job, and it is just a step closest to the biomedical scientist, because biomedical scientist role starts from band 5. So when you're at the band 4 level, you know that you're really close and pretty close to becoming the biomedical scientist that you want to be. And also this role does not need HCPC registration, and sometimes a biomedical scientist degree might not be essential. It could be desirable but not essential. So even if you have a degree in biology and stuff like that, then this is a good job for you to apply for. Also, it's a bit more advanced than medlab assistants because of course it's a band 4 role, so they expect you to know much about quality, the types of quality control, health and safety. They expect you to know much more because you're actually doing more specialized things than an MLA. You could now be handling analyzers, you could now be doing quality control. The only thing is that as a band 4, you cannot work on patient sample, you cannot validate patients' results. The highest you could go is quality control. So it's also a form of training role, but it brings you closer to your dream job. And with this, trust me, when you become a band 4, if you do a band 4 job, you realize that you learn so much, and when you go for your band 5 interview, you'll be able to smash it eventually. And of course, most band 4 jobs are willing to help you do your training. Most of the band 4 jobs are willing to help you with your registration portfolio for you to finally become HCPC registered. And when you get HCPC registered and you've got good NHS experience, you find out that it's so much easier for you to get into the lab. While you're in this role, you're able to gain practical lab experience, and it helps you to understand the science behind most of the things you learned at uni, because it's one thing to learn something practically, it's another thing to see how things are done. So that's another important reason why these jobs are good. Another reason why these jobs are good for you to apply, also for people who do not have a biomedical science degree to become biomedical scientists. Let's say you have a biology degree or a degree in biochemistry or a degree in something related but not necessarily biomedical science, and what it means is your course is not your course still needs some top-up modules by IBMS and HCPC for you to become a registered biomedical scientist. So while you're doing this job, you could be earning and also completing your top-up modules, and when you're done with your top-up modules, you can easily complete your registration now and transition to a biomedical scientist role. So most graduates, because a lot of people are not well aware of biomedical science and IBMS and HCPC when they go to uni, so they just do like most science related courses, and then when they are done with their studies and they're trying to get a job, they discover what biomedical science is and think that yes, I want to be a biomedical scientist, but they don't have the right degree. It's good to be in one of these roles because it's like you have a step foot already in the system. I also feel like one advantage of even doing these roles is that when you become a band 5, you practically know what it is to be like a band 3 or a band 4 staff. You've been a support worker within the lab, so I feel like you're going to be able to relate better and you're going to be a better senior to your juniors because you've basically been there, done that, and you'll be able to have good advice for them. I would like to end this video by saying that I'm not discouraging you from applying for a band 5 job if you have your registration portfolio, if you're HCPC registered. I'm not discouraging you from applying for your band 5s or band 6. I'm just saying that if you've been applying for band 5s and 6 and you've not gotten successful, you can also apply for these roles from band 2 to band 4 alongside, because it's easier. It might be a bit easier for you to get into these roles, and trust me, when you get into these roles, it's going to be very much easier to, you know, move forward and move to a band 5 or a band 6 job, as long as you're doing the right thing. So this is a strategy that you might want to implement in your job application, because trust me, it's so difficult to get a job right now. It's so difficult. You can apply multiple applications and nothing successful. You might get to interview stage, nothing still successful. So if you have the means to do these lower roles and move up and move forward, it's going to be a very good strategy for you. That brings us to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much. I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two from this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.